It's recording. And action. Yeah. Sing it, Tanya. Yeah. How y'all doing? This is the Black Russian Podcast. I am Tion Bukuwan.
And I'm Yulia.
And we are here to do episode 2. Episode 2. Number 2. Which is the monogamy episode. But before we get into that, let's talk about the response we got from the first episode of our podcast. We got some pretty good response, huh?
That was really cool and unexpected.
What were your thoughts about it?
Well, that was unexpected. And it was really nice to see how people actually come out and ask questions that pertain to their situations, which confirms that people don't necessarily want to just listen to what we have to say, but what we do provokes questions about their life. And then they come out and ask questions and want to talk. All of a sudden they realize, hey, this is a space where I can talk to them about things I have been thinking about, but I have no one to talk to. And now they do.
Yeah, no, that's been pretty neat. It's like, being a semi-newborn Marvel fan, it's kind of like in the Inhuman story where there's Terrigen Mist, and we have this podcast is kind of like Terrigen Mist over the mass that have listened to it, and it ignites something in them that's been dormant for a while.
I mean, we've only had one episode.
I know, and look, already, right? We've had people come out of the closet who, they had no idea that we are operating the way that we are. And we had no idea they were inquiring or inquisitive about that as well.
Yeah, because if you don't start talking, how else are you going to find out? It's not something that you talk to people about.
This is real. So we'd like to thank everybody who listened to podcast episode 1 of the Black Russian Podcast. And it gives us a little extra rocket fuel and energy for us to continue to do what we do. So we are into the monogamy episode, all things monogamous, good, bad, myths. And what first we'd like to do is go into some quotes that we picked out each week, or each episode better yet. We'll pick out some quotes that resonate with us and just share them with you guys, maybe talk a little bit about them. So go ahead. Do you want to go with one of yours? I'll go with one of mine.
Sure.
All right.
So first one I like, your assumptions are your windows on the world. Scrub them off every once in a while or the light won't come in. And it's just easy to assume that you know what you know and you don't have to look at anything else. We all do that. It's hard to go out and look at things in a new way, but we should. We might find something else out that works.
This is very true. Mine is live from your heart, not from your hurt. And a lot of us can get caught up sometimes acting out of fear, acting out of scarcity versus abundance. And when we do that, we tend to not make the best decisions about things in our lives, especially important things. So, live from your heart, not from your hurt.
My next one probably resonates with my rabbit feet. The minute you're satisfied with where you aren't there anymore. That is totally true for me. Uh, I don't ever want to be in the same place, and I want to keep going. But I guess a lot of the times people want to be comfortable and stay there, which is probably perfectly fine. I just know my rabbit feet start tapping and then trouble.
Yes.
Unless it's guided.
Right, of course, which still creates movement. So mine is the partner who must suppress more of his or her own needs for the sake of the relationship is more likely to develop physical illness. And that's by Gabor Mate. And, it's true. Like a lot of times we repress things that are very important to us. And not realizing that repression can create a lot of different stresses on your body and manifest itself in very different ways. And as we know, stress can be one of the major causes of illness. So repression leads to stress, and stress can lead to illness, and it's just not fresh.
Nope. Gotta stay healthy. An individual has not begun to live their life until they can rise above the narrow horizons of their particular individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. This one speaks to me because I will get stuck on whatever I think and however I think things should be, and then not really care about the rest of the people. And it's been a really interesting exercise over the years, and I think Tion has been banging me upside the head to actually look at the bigger picture and not just be perfectly happy with my own opinion.
All right, and that ties into my last one. Try being informed instead of being just opinionated. And this ties in perfectly to the monogamy episode because a lot of us have no idea about the concept of monogamy, where it came from, what its origins are, and why we choose to engage or just accept it wholeheartedly. I know I will lead off. I was from like third grade until shortly after high school. I was a serial monogamous person. I lived and loved monogamously. Like I had several girlfriends, but when I was with them, they were my whole universe. And I never thought that was even an option to be anything else but that. It was
Do
just
you
kind
really
of like.
think in third grade you can be polygamous?
Well, I don't want to be polygamous no matter what age I am. You mean polyamorous?
No, polyamorous.
Yeah, I don't want to have other wives. I'm cool with that. Sure, you have multiple friends. Some people have multiple friends they cuddled with and played games with, but I didn't. I listened to, I was a romantic. I probably had uncles and aunts that, I listened to a lot of soul, and it was about one man, one woman, but I never thought consciously about it any other way. So the same way I took that wholeheartedly, the same way I took, Christmas was on the 25th, and it was with Santa Claus, and, Christopher Columbus discovered America. So it was kind of just things I accepted without knowing. And then later through my life, around 11th grade is when I really started doing a lot of introspection, listening to Diggable Planets, spending a lot of time alone, and I was questioning the things that I did and the things that I thought. And I did everything about how I act, how I treat women, how I treat myself, what I want to do, what I want to feel, but I never questioned monogamy. It was like, didn't even think about questioning that. I just assumed that was just the way things were going to be. So, I was opinionated, but I wasn't informed. I'd never looked up anything about monogamy or relationships. So I think that kind of speaks to how most of us are. We just kind of just defaulted that. So we're going to go into that. Let's delve into the whole monogamy thing, where it came from, the good about it, the troubles that come along with it, and a lot of the myths, and see if we can share some things. So we're going to pass it over to Eula, because she is our this week's historian on this podcast. So why don't you break down what you discovered about some of the origins of monogamy?
So I did some research, not extremely heavy, but enough to where there's a common theme, and the common theme actually goes against what I had assumed it was going to be. I sort of assumed that it was monogamy was born from religion, but it was not, apparently. There's different theories, and they all point to the fact that at some point, people, before a big change happened, and I guess questionable what the big change was, but people were not monogamous. They lived in societies that cooperated a lot more, and it just wasn't a way of life. And then, I guess, according to different theories, it was either when humans settled on specific territories and started actual agricultural activities, acquired private property, when it occurred to them that having a wife of their own was a good thing. And that's when, I guess, at least one theory says the shift had occurred. Another says that even in the old Greco-Roman Empire, there was a shift there where there was a non-monogamous society, and then it became advantageous for the society to have more men residing in the same group, meaning they don't go out of the group to seek women to attract them, because those people then, those men then, are able to serve in the army and pay taxes. So that happened in ancient Greece and Rome. That was centuries before Christianity even existed.
What? Say word.
Yeah.
Wow.
And basically, that theory says that socially imposed monogamy, and that's what we call it, socially imposed, because it became more convenient for the society to have monogamy than not. It emerged in the West as an arrangement in which elite males allowed lower-ranking males to marry in exchange for their military service and tax contributions. So basically, the more you read about it, the more you see that it's an economical arrangement. Whether you concede that it came from people settling to develop land, or whether it came from the need to have a society, more stable society with more males who will go and serve in the army and pay taxes, or whatever other sort of economical arrangement, but it's all pointing to the fact that it did not come from religion. Religion took over that whole myth and strengthened it to the point where we all assume that it came from religion, but it really didn't.
Wow. So you're trying to say it wasn't some divine innate order that we were just born to be monogamous and that's just why we are the way we are?
No, and I guess that's why, I don't know if it's 50% of people that question monogamy, less than 50, more than 50, but there's definitely enough that question monogamy without even thinking about it, just
Right.
as a way of life. We all arrive to it through our own means.
Right. And it's very fascinating because, like we're talking about, most of us never thought about there was any other option, that it was synonymous with taking it serious. Like once you got serious, that meant monogamous and there was no other way. And some of the research that we're doing, we actually listened to somebody today and they were saying, it could have possibly come from the transition from being hunter-gatherers where everything was in the community-based. We shared everything. And so we shared food, we shared nurture, we shared
childcare, shared tools, shared, pray.
Prayer, everything. So it would be weird to think that we would share everything, but when it came to sexual behaviors, we wouldn't share and engage with that. It would become some strictly secular thing. And that was clearly not the case. So what we're going to delve into is just, the questions of, asking yourself, as we ask ourselves, why are you monogamous if you are?
I really think, I like the term socially imposed monogamy because it helps us frame it in the right way.
Right, meaning it's not good or not bad, but socially
Right.
imposed is definitely not good because...
that is something we're all born into, and that's what we assume is right, and that's what we go out into the world with.
Right, true. And we're all about thinking for ourselves. We're definitely about living and loving by your own design. And we want to make this very clear as we go into this episode and each episode. There's no template of love that is more or less divine than another. It's the chemistry, intent, and quality of the work, the people involved, that put in determines a high grade or low grade, quality or not. Not only work they do together, but the work they do on themselves, their deep root work. So any dynamic can be great or can fail miserably, depending on the people involved in it. So our thing is about love. We're all trying to find our best way to love, and we're definitely about opening up the honest dialogue about love. So let's go into the good. What are some of the good things about monogamy? There's the feeling of companionship. You definitely want to feel like you got somebody who truly is just there, who's there for you, who rides for you, who's got your back through thick and thin, who you can relax, don't have to worry about chasing them around. They're gonna be there. They're in like Flynn. They're in it to win it, right? Also the teamwork. Having someone that you could build with steady. You can keep building with them, and there's something to be said about that. There's in sports, for example, continuity is a really important thing for a basketball or football team because they know each other very well. They work together well, and so having that in a relationship, has its advantages. You guys get to know each other very well. It becomes very secure, very secure. And that's people like that. Also familiarity. People love familiarity, right? Like, you know what I like. I know what you like. You know what food I like. I know what food you like. I know your pet peeves. I can finish your sentences. All types of really cool things like that. And I guess that's a really, those are cool things. We're kind of struggling here, but
well, as you're listing them, I'm thinking that one, including myself, can easily take every single of your points and apply it to non-monogamy. You don't have to be monogamous to have companionship with someone. You don't have to be monogamous to have teamwork, and you don't have to be monogamous to know their likes and be comfortable. So it's not necessarily an exclusive neither one of those is an exclusive benefit of monogamy. So I think we're still actually struggling to find that one exclusive benefit of monogamy, and our friends who are in good monogamy